Yep.
Hello and welcome to episode 284 of Sutton and Back Family Style. I'm Jason.
Bill, I'm going to start talking about my amazing golf trip to St. Andrews in Ireland. And, the first course we played was the old course. And that's the most famous course. And I'll tell you, I liked it for a couple of reasons. One, there's no water on it. There's like one stream and that's it. So, but it's a links course. If you stay out of those bunkers, it's not that hard of a course. But when you're in those bunkers, it's nasty. But, I stayed with tradition. I walked the old course the first day. I walked all 18 holes, which was exhausting because I hadn't done it in forever. Not that the geography was that exhausting. Just if you haven't walked 18 holes in a long time, it's just hard to do.
Can you take
So by
carts on
the
the old
time this
course?
week was over, we all had carts.
Can you do old carts or carts on the old course?
Yeah, you can do.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
you can do either cart. You can do. We had push carts and we had caddies.
Oh, okay.
And my caddy had a Scottish accent so strong I couldn't understand anything he said. It was the strongest accent I ever heard. But we played the old course, then we played the new course, which is an interesting name because the new course is only 100 years younger than the old course. So it's like 600 years old instead of 700 years old.
That's crazy. It's that old. That's insane.
I know. And it's really cool, Jay? You can actually go to a course called the Hickory Club, and they'll give you 5 of the original kinds of golf clubs and the leather ball stuff with feathers, like I used to play golf.
Yeah.
And you can actually do that.
Did you try that?
No, we didn't have any time. I would have liked to have tried it.
Yeah, I don't think I'd want to. I mean, I'm not really a golfer to begin with, but I don't think I'd want to play a course like that. But I would like to play a hole like that just to see, you know, the feel,
Yeah.
the way the old ball handles, that kind of stuff.
And they also had a putting course called the Himalayas, which kind of describes what the putting greens look like.
Yeah, I was like, that
So
sounds like, yeah.
we didn't have a chance to do that either, but we saw it. It looked pretty amazing. But they take really good care of you. It's a really cool, operation. Um, so we had a great time. And we played every day. I didn't play the last, people make it fun. The last day, the wind was 70 kilometers an hour, and it was raining sideways.
Oh.
So my old friend, former student Larry McCarthy, and I went out and teed off on the first hole. Both hit great drives down the middle. By the time we got to our balls, we were sopping wet. So we picked up our balls and went back inside. And we told Tommy and his friend that we'd meet them on 9 or 10, and we'd play with them then. And that was going to be our idea. And so we drove back out on 9 and met them, and because it had stopped raining. As soon as we got out there, the heavens opened. We got drenched again, and we just said, forget it. And so we didn't play. We stayed up at the clubhouse all day.
Huh, okay.
It was a beautiful golf course, but I'm not playing. I don't play in the rain here. I'm not going to play in the rain anywhere.
Yeah.
And to paraphrase Damon Wayans, homie, don't play that. And if it's that rainy and that windy, I'm not into it.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. But it's a great time. We played. I broke 100 on a couple of courses. I was pretty happy with that. And, Scotland doesn't have senior tees. They have 3 sets of tees. So you have the pro tee, then they got a blue tee, then they got a green tee. And in the green tee, it's for seniors and amateurs and women. And so we played a par 5, and usually on a course here in the U.S., I'd get probably at least a 70-yard break.
Yeah.
They teed off at 5:10. I teed off at 5:08.
Oh.
So I ended up playing a lot longer golf course than I'm used to. But my point is, so they're into no gender exclusion. So the women's tee would have been 508 tees as well, 508 yards as well. So I thought that was kind of crazy.
It almost seems like you said 5'10" to 5'08" is the difference.
Yeah, why have a difference at all?
Yeah, I was like, I know that's 6 feet and that's something, but like, it doesn't feel like that's even worthy of having anything.
No. I think the most I ever had on one was like 20, 30 yards. But then when we went to Ireland, they had 5 sets of tees like you do in the U.S.
Oh, okay.
So that was better. Except I didn't play because of rain. So, but it was a great time. And I'll talk more about my food moments later on.
All right. Well, I guess we should we'll have a quick congratulations, former Steeler Le'Veon Bell, for knocking out former Viking Adrian Peterson in a boxing match.
Yeah, did you see the clip or anything? I didn't see anything.
I did. Le'Veon Bell crushed him.
And how bad did it look?
It wasn't like a fall down like one punch thing. It was like he just got beaten and just kind of woozy and then out. But Le'Veon Bell's younger, so maybe that helped. And he just seemed like he's just a better fighter. Like Le'Veon Bell was more like a Jake Paul. Like it seemed like there was some real boxing. Maybe that was part of his training when he was in the NFL. I have no idea, but it was pretty quick.
Was there a crowd watching it?
There's a crowd for everything. I don't think that's tough to find.
Okay.
I only saw like clips. So I mean, in the clips they showed, which were all pretty much just ring, like people were definitely. I don't know like how they didn't go wide in any of the clips. But more importantly, Thursday night was our first NFL game of the season.
Yes.
And Buffalo.
A little bit of a shocker.
I think a lot of people thought Buffalo was a Super Bowl team, but they dismantled the Rams.
Totally.
And, if it wasn't the 2 Josh Allen interceptions in the first half, one of which definitely wasn't his fault because it was in the other receiver's hands, and then as he was going to the ground, the defender just ripped it out. And then the other one, it was like, probably his fault. But they moved the ball with ease on the Rams, just up and down the field. Von Miller, who was a Ram last year and won the Super Bowl, was now a Bill this year, absolutely terrorized Matthew Stafford. And Stafford did not seem like he knew any other receiver other than Cooper Kupp on his team.
Yeah. I mean, I had Allen Robinson in my fantasy team because I thought, based on what he did for the Bears, I thought, ooh, this is a good alternative.
Yeah.
He had 1 catch for 12 yards.
And only 2 targets. That's the crazy part. Cooper Kupp had, I think, 17 targets. And I know Cooper Kupp is great. I'm not taking anything from Cooper Kupp, but you got to move the ball around a little bit. But the Bills' defensive line looked dominant. They already were missing, who was their great cornerback? I want to say Tre'Davious White.
Yeah, whatever his name is, yeah.
He was out. They started a rookie in its place. Didn't seem to hurt him.
No, they played really well. They had good pressure. They had, I guess Tyler Christmas, they didn't run the ball well, but they didn't have to run the ball well.
Well, Josh Allen ran for 58 yards and a touchdown. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's always going to do that.
Yeah. No, it was in Los Angeles. You had The Rock there. You had Although, did you watch the game on TV with sound on?
I did, and there was a lot of Buffalo Bills fans there.
Yeah, it wasn't quite full-on Bills Mafia, but if you were just in a room and all you could do was hear the TV, you would think the game was in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Which,
But that's, it's typical LA.
I know, but it's the Rams and they just won the Super Bowl. You got The Rock, you got the celebrities out there, and you still got, opening night of NFL season, and you couldn't get enough crowd to make it sound like your crowd. That's pretty sad.
It's LA. It's
Yeah.
LA fans.
It's almost like playing 17 road games in a weird way, give or take.
Yeah.
But
I mean, the Bills look, if they've been anointed Super Bowl favorites, and I didn't see anything to convince me otherwise.
no, and if you watch, when you watch Josh Allen, I know it's typical TV announcer stuff, but they kept comparing him to Brady. And you watch the way he was in the pocket just dissecting the defense. They threw on Jalen Ramsey, I think, 9 times. It was like they had a perfect passer rating and 2 touchdowns against Jalen Ramsey, supposedly the best corner in football. And he was just placing the ball back shoulder throws, anticipatory throws. He looked, very calm, very cool in the pocket.
He looked very good.
Yeah.
And I have Stephon Diggs on my fantasy team, so I was very happy.
Yeah. And the Bills look like they've just got a nice complement of weapons. The offensive line looked good. Josh Allen, that defensive line. Von Miller looks like he's going to be, at least early in the season, Defensive Player of the Year conversation. So, yeah.
I think the only thing that can derail the Bills is injuries.
Yes. And you would like to see them get a little more production out of one of the running backs. I thought Singletary ran pretty well. Zach Moss has been the way Zach Moss has always been, where he's the Benny Snell of the Buffalo Bills. He's just a little bit slow. And
yeah,
he can make all the right reads, he can make good hands, he can do all the things you want him to do, but he doesn't have that burst or that acceleration you need to be successful at the NFL level. And then Cook, I think Delvin Cook of the Minnesota Vikings brother, he had 1 snap, 1 fumble, and we did not see him again. But I know they were hyped about him this season. but you turn the ball over, it's going to be tough on you.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
All right, well, I say we come...
Which NFL game do you want to watch today? Which other than the Steelers game, what is your favorite game?
I was about to say, I was like, well, obviously it's going to be the Steelers. I'm very curious in the 49ers Bears. We've been hearing about Trey Lance now for 3 seasons, and he's thrown, a couple preseason passes in that one game at North Dakota, and I really want to see him on the field. I want to see what Trey Lance can do in the Shanahan offense. I want to see what the 49ers are.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the second game, well, there's so many good games. I mean, Raiders-Chargers looks fantastic. Vikings-Packers, Bucks-Cowboys. I'm also curious about, Seattle and Denver. Because I think Seattle, as much as they want to get, one of those top quarterback prospects, and doesn't look like they're really looking to win this year, I think they want to dismantle Russell Wilson. I think Pete Carroll and that staff are going to do everything they can to make Russell Wilson look bad. And
I just don't know if you get the talent to do that.
Yeah, I don't know either. But I mean, that game intrigues me. It's also like,
I'm curious about the Dolphins-Patriots game, just to see what Tua does.
Of course.
Weapons.
Yeah. And I mean, I was like I said, I'm looking down the slate. Like Chiefs-Cardinals, I'd watch. Outside of Jaguars, Commanders, which doesn't look like much. Giants and Titans, I have no interest in. Colts, Texans, not really. Lions, Eagles, I'm a little, part of it's that, HBO show, but I want to watch the Lions a little bit this year.
Yeah, I do too.
And then I think the only other weird game is Ravens at Jets, the Joe Flacco revenge game, right?
Yeah, and I'm not seeing too much there. I probably won't tune into that one at all.
No, but then you got Lamar Jackson, contract situation still looming large. The Ravens still have J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards are still out. And, from the Zach Wilson watch, it seems like people like Flacco. There's a lot of talent on that team. So it'd be interesting to see if they can knock the Ravens off. But, it is Christmas morning for football fans.
No, it's great. I mean, you've got a bunch of brand new coaches, different places. Like, what are the Patriots going to be without their former offensive coordinator, who's now the head coach in the Raiders? I mean, how's that going to work out? You get the Dolphins with another coach.
You got Tua.
Yeah.
Even Saints Falcons, the local game down here, I'm kind of intrigued by. I think part of it is we know who we think is going to be a bad team and who we think is going to be a good team, but you don't really know until that's why they line them up and run the plays. So I'm looking forward to a day of football, all the way through Monday night at this point.
Yeah, I'll be on a plane tonight, but I'll be able to watch. I'll be on Southwest, but I'll be able to watch the Cowboys and the Buccaneers, and I'll see if they're going to just blitz up the middle and see what happens to Brady.
Yeah, Micah Parsons. And Dak Prescott has been taking a lot of crap for the last year and a half, getting compared to Kirk Cousins, and is he that good? So I think he's pretty excited to get going too.
Yeah.
But then, Dallas is, for the first time ever, Dallas does not have one of the best offensive lines in football. Because the T. Smith playing left tackle is not the T. Smith that they want. It's the rookie.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I'm very excited.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
And for people wondering, we're doing the podcast prior to the first Steeler game of the year because we want to make sure we had high energy and we're in good moods. Because
although last year, my expectations for opening day this year are pretty much exactly what my expectations were for opening day last year. I didn't expect them to win, and I don't expect them to win today.
Well, last year they beat the Buffalo Bills.
Last year they beat the Buffalo Bills.
Which seemed like, not that you would use the Bills and the Steelers probably on a suicide pool, but you saw that as an easy Buffalo win, the Super Bowl contending Bills against the old Steelers, and the Steelers won. So,
yeah. We'll see. I mean, I know that they were upset they got blown out last time they played them in Cincinnati, so we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. Unless somehow some of these new guys they brought in and they've learned some sort of new offensive lineman technique. I mean, at the very least, you hope they filmed all the practices with Munchak a few years ago and they could just play videos of him coaching you know, in the room
Yeah.
and see if that rubs off. Because
One thing I will say, despite the fact that the season opened on Thursday night, it didn't feel like opening day of the NFL season.
no,
Today feels like opening day of the NFL season.
it does. I know that because they have that meme of it's the guy sitting in the chair with his arm crossed, and it's like tell me I'm wrong, and they keep saying these ones like I want NFL Monday, and it's like no, I'm like I'd rather go back to just Sunday. And I know Monday night's kind of a tradition, so fine, you can keep Monday night in there, but like I like it all condensed. I like
And
one
you have
day.
your NFL Plus now, right?
I do, which feels like it was designed by like a high school programming class so far.
Really?
Yeah, I just feel like you're the NFL. It's almost 2023. You should have just stolen a guy. You had to overpaid like a guy from Netflix or Amazon to teach you how to stream. I think that would have been a little bit better. But we'll see as day one gets on. Have not been all that impressed with the service. You can't even watch it on your laptop. You have to watch it on an iPad or not, or a tablet or a phone.
Well, you have a good iPad, right?
I do. I don't have the big one. I've got like a regular size, I don't know what screen, like 10-inch maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, 11.
11, yeah, whatever it is. It works. It's getting the job done. I'm hoping, though, that it's the local CBS game here because I subscribe to CBS through Amazon for the season. Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, college football was pretty fun yesterday, if you like upsets.
I watched all the Alabama-Texas game.
Yeah.
And I have to admit, I was surprised because Texas wasn't good last year.
No.
And this was a pretty quick step up. And they looked really, really good. And if the quarterback doesn't get hurt, maybe they win.
That's what I was thinking. And I was also wondering, like, with all this expansion and, new teams and new conferences, like, I feel like Texas knocking off Alabama would have been great for that conference.
Yeah, I do too. Well, they were in the red zone 5 times. They had 3 field goals, a missed field goal, and 1 touchdown.
Yeah.
And that's a big telling factor right there.
It is. Yeah. Notre Dame
Once
lost.
Belichick get off the bus, he's a slob.
Yeah, but he's got that cool rich guy. I don't have to care slobness,
Yeah, but he doesn't even look. A cool rich guy would still have better clothes on.
Yeah, I like the Belichick look.
He'd have a cool rich guy would have some nice jeans on. These look like he got them from a homeless guy. It's worn out.
He's all about the comfort. He's going to be on that sideline. He doesn't want to think about.
Well, my favorite upset yesterday was definitely Appalachian State beating Texas A&M.
Oh yeah, that was fantastic.
So hey Jimbo, and to win there in front of all those people at A&M was incredible, and they dominated the game.
Yeah.
A&M had the ball for like 19 minutes.
It's crazy, right?
Insane.
And you got to feel like that's it for Texas A&M this year.
I mean, yeah. You're not going to recover from that. You're going to drop from 6. You're going to drop pretty far. Notre Dame was 8. Probably not a deserved 8. They're out. But I really feel bad for that coach. And they kept putting up the graphic. He's the first coach in Notre Dame history to lose his first 3 games. And that's harsh.
Yeah. Well, I will say, from watching, I know we talked about it a few weeks ago, I watched the the Manti Te'o, the fake girlfriend documentary on Netflix.
Uh-huh.
And when he was even talking about, his choice to go to Notre Dame, which is a decade ago and at this point now, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, people were kind of like, why they, like, it wasn't like, oh, that's a great choice, obviously, people were like, why wouldn't you go to USC? Like, I just don't. I don't know who Notre Dame expectations versus the talent they get in there just doesn't make any sense.
No, it really doesn't. That was a big loss yesterday.
Yeah. Like I said, I know they're making. There's still enough old people in charge of television that they're going to keep getting their own deal, where they're making a lot of money staying out of a big conference. But I wonder at what point that's going to be. or they're on the outside looking in. Like now, where they're still the belle of the ball, but all these other college teams want them. Like, I wonder what happens when, is that pro, a decade from now.
Losing to Marshall.
Yeah. I mean, I saw a lot of, on Twitter, a lot of thundering herd. People seem pretty excited. So,
Well, I mean, they played well against Ohio State.
yeah.
So this was totally unexpected, but it was wow. Wow is all I can say.
Yeah.
So and Baylor lost last night, so 3 top 10 teams lost.
And then Kentucky knocked off Florida. And after
Yeah,
all
I
the,
was real happy to see that too.
well, I liked Anthony Richardson, the quarterback, but he played awful in that game.
He looked hideous.
And the only reason I found myself rooting for Florida towards the end is I thought that Kentucky coach tried to lose that game so many ways. You got Florida on the ropes. You have a supposed first-round quarterback, and every time you got near, your field goal kicker was already shaky enough as it was, and you could just tell, like, he was, okay, we're within field goal range, let's just run the ball into the line and not screw up. And I don't really respect that or enjoy that sort of football on TV. So I didn't really feel like that he deserved to win that game, but good for them, they won.
Yeah, 1 by 10.
Yeah.
And they were down. They scored like the last 16 points, I think.
Yeah. Well, Richardson played, the pick six was a terrible pass. He just did not look good at all.
No. Those are some great matchups in week 2, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Good games.
Well, I think, with so many options out there, you got to put, I know the NFL scheduling guy was very excited about week 1 because he's like, you got Bengals Steelers. You got Saints Falcons. You already had Bills Rams. Like, you got Vikings Packers. Like, you got
and then
all
you look
the.
into something like the Panthers Browns, which would not have been a factor till Baker got there.
Exactly, yeah.
So you got a couple games like that are kind of interesting, and you got the Russell Wilson thing.
Plus, I know we keep going back to the NFL, but you play fantasy, I play fantasy. I did NBA fantasy last year, which is like the 3rd time in the last decade I've done it. And I decided, I got asked again, and I'm like, last year I got kind of guilted into doing it. Like, just please, we need someone else to make our team 12. Fantasy football works. I don't think any other fantasy sport works.
It's just too many games otherwise.
Too many games.
I would do fantasy golf.
Yeah, people
I
talk.
would do fantasy football, and that's it.
Yeah. Because fantasy basketball, like, you're on there like multiple times, and it's like you're looking at, 4 games a week. It's just too much.
Yeah. In fantasy baseball, it's just no way.
Yeah. And because fantasy football works and so many people play it, all of a sudden, you're like, oh, who's this random, like, I don't really want Colts Texans, but Jonathan Taylor, Pierce, Pittman. It's like, well, there's guys to watch there,
Yeah. That's true. There is.
Now, Jaguars Commanders might have the least amount of fantasy people in it, probably of any game this year.
Yeah, I would think. I've got my Travis Etienne, but I'm not going to watch it to see that.
No. Yeah, but that's pretty good.
But like I said, it's a fun day today. I'm excited about it.
Yes. And, my expectation for the Steelers, I think like every probably super fan, you try to keep them in containment, but then, you just, in the back of your mind, you're like, Deontay Johnson's playing, Claypool reasserted himself, George Pickens, Najee, Freiermuth, who knows,
Yeah.
You start letting it go. TJ Watt, it just gets in your head, and you're like, maybe, just maybe. And that's why you watch.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah. Well, any good entertainment moments for you this week? Besides, obviously.
I read the new Stephen King book, Fairy Tale.
Okay.
And I read it since I was on a flight coming back from Shannon, Ireland to New York. I read like 90% of it it was 600 pages. I was almost done by the time I landed. And it kept my attention, but I would tell you, it's he's done those fantasy tales before, and this is a fantasy tale. A fairy tale tells you what it's about, and it was good, but it wasn't. If somebody said, should I read it? I say, I feel like Stephen King, yes. But if you're looking for original story or something innovative or something, I mean, I saw like pieces of The Stand, and I saw pieces of um, The Gunslinger and The Dark Tower and all that. I mean, it was a lot of things. I mean, I guess if you've written as much as he does, it's hard to be 100% unique and different, right?
It's funny because Hulu has Storm of the Century, the Stephen King TV series.
Yeah.
And we started watching that, and I couldn't help but think, I'm like, it's not exactly, but this is very Needful Things, which is another Stephen King, you know, a stranger arrives in town. No, it's just like, okay, I mean, it's enjoy. I mean, for a TV, it's a 3-episode Stephen King Storm of the Century TV show, so it's been enjoyable. But I was like, this feels a lot like Needful Things, not exactly, but not completely dissimilar. It's a little more violent,
Right.
but I was like, I've kind of seen this before, and it's got a little of the Stand in it. It's like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to be different anymore. It's hard to have something totally unique.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a credit to as much as he's written.
Oh yeah, and he's like you said, I mean, as good as some of his stuff can be, like he's got that beach writer quality to it, where it's you can just sit down and read it. There's no. It's got all that nice flow, and it's
Yeah.
like a Dan Brown or any of these other people, where it's like it's just it's really well written. You're gonna you can fly right through it.
So that was really my only entertainment. We didn't watch much. I didn't stream anything while we were abroad, and the television really didn't give me much choices. So, not much.
Well, I finished the last season of What We Do in the Shadows. Again, absolutely fantastic, and that's one of those shows that I would be happy to watch those people on the screen together for 30 years. Like it just I just like that show. And then Reservation Dogs season 2 has been absolutely phenomenal, and people should be watching that show if they're not.
Huh.
I talked about the first season last year. It's set on the Indian reservation. It's all new, fresh faces. It's not actors you've seen before. Really heartfelt, very funny. It's just a fantastic, fantastic show. And you can watch it it's on FX, so which means if you have Hulu, you can watch it. And they're halfway through the second season, and the second season is also just absolutely brilliant. Maybe my favorite show of the year so far.
Yeah, I'm still watching City on the Hill. I caught up when I got back. I mean, I like Kevin Bacon. I like Aldous. I forget what his name is. I like Joe Hennessy. I mean, some good characters, and it's typical Boston corruption. So I mean, the stories are out there. So, but it's interesting. Kevin Bacon he does a really good job in it. Okay. And then I've been watching the prequel to Game of Thrones. And not having watched Game of Thrones, it's interesting to me, and I appreciate it.
It's very grounded fantasy. Like, it's almost like a City of the Hill or any other sort of corruption show, government, police-wise, with dragons and wizards. I mean...
There you go. That's pretty accurate.
Like, you get all the, the backstabbing and, all that stuff mixed in with, a high fantasy setting, so...
Yeah, you get a lot of intrigue in this. We'll see how it goes. But I've been enjoying it, and I'm probably going to try Power of the Rings too when it starts.
It's 2 episodes in. The 3rd episode's out now.
Okay.
I also want to watch that. I've been waiting for it to stack up a couple of episodes so I can binge it. I like to, do that bingey part.
Yeah, I like that too. I do like to really. It seems like that's a great way to jump into something. 2 or 3.
Yeah.
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 Well, I had some great food moments. And anybody knows me this much, I love Italian food. But this is consensus. The 5 people on the trip, our best meal was in St. Andrews, and it was a place called Little Italy.
Which just seems crazy.
I ordered my order based upon the name of the dish, and I rigatone fantastico. And I thought, if you're going to throw a label like that on something, it's got to be really good. And it was tremendous. Homemade rigatoni, tomato sauce with some herbs. It was really, really good.
Okay. Oh. I forgot I do have one more entertainment moment.
Okay.
The Patient, another FX show.
Yeah, I saw the previews for that.
It's really good. And what's crazy is, do you know how long each episode is? Like 22
No.
minutes.
What's the premise of the show?
Steve Carell's a therapist.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, I saw him there.
Brendan Gleeson is, in the first episode, essentially, I'll give you a little. This is all in the trailer, I think. So Brendan Gleeson is his patient, and Steve Carell can tell, like, and it's like they're probably, they're months in, and Steve Carell's like, I feel like you're not being honest with me. And if you're not being honest with me, I can't really help you, Mm-hmm. And Brendan Gleeson comes in, he's always got his hat on, he's got sunglasses on, and you can just tell, like, he's lying. So he kidnaps Steve Carell, chains him to a bed in his basement, and then tells him, now you're here, now we can be honest. And he admits that he's a serial killer and that he doesn't like what he do and he wants help. And he's like, this seemed like the only way you could actually help me, because now I'm here in front of you and I'm telling you everything. I'm being completely open.
Oh,
And like I said,
that's not very-
and because the episodes are like 25 minutes long, like, it seems like they got rid of a lot of the B plot and a lot of the other, that you would see in a lot of other shows, which, again, like we talked about, like, there's not a ton of original, I mean, you go back to the Shakespeare quote, there's only, 7 stories you can tell?
Mm-hmm.
But this is taking, the mixture of serial killer and therapist, whether you go Sopranos or any other, shows with therapists and serial killers, and sort of condensing it down and sort of cutting away the fat.
Okay.
And for people, I've only watched 2 episodes, but so far you haven't seen anything either. As far as, like, they're not showing you the bloody, you're not getting cops coming onto the scene of dead body. Like, you missed, all that stuff's been cut out. And it's essentially just the 2 of them having conversations. And I think it's expanding out. You get a little bit more here and there. You learn a little bit about Steve Carell's family and things along those lines. But it's a nice presentation, I would say.
Okay.
And, yeah. I think other than that, everybody get ready to watch football, right?
Get ready to watch football and enjoy it. And hopefully you're playing fantasy and you'll have good luck with your fantasy teams today.
Yeah. And I know not all of you can win in your team picks, but hopefully, your team plays well and you enjoy watching the game.
Yeah.
In whatever format that may be. So until next week, when we'll have reaction to all of week 1.
Yes. And some more college football. Everybody have a great week.